Now what I have here is one of the best price to performance DACs out there, and it's not gonna break your bank, so let's talk about it. Alright, disclaimer, this DAC was sent out to me for review, but that won't affect my review in any way, shape, or form. Everything you're gonna hear here, it will be my own personal opinion. Also, I'm not like a super hardcore audiophile, but I'm gonna do my best talking about that kind of stuff because the audiophile aspects I'll be talking about will be related to how well it does in gaming, and how well it does in gaming really depends on the audiophile aspect, so I'm gonna talk about those two things together. That being said, let's get started. The DAC we have on hand is a topping D10S, and opening up the box we have the DAC, a USB cable for data and power, a warranty card, and a manual. Behold the DAC itself. It's encased in an all-metal body with some rubber feet at the bottom for grip on your table. Up front is a display which will show your sound format as well as the sample rate it's playing at, and on the back are pretty standard if limited inputs and outputs. For testing, I have the DAC plugged into my computer running at the highest sample rate through USB, which then runs into my Shitfulla 2, which I'm using as an amp, where my Audio Quest Night Owl headphones will be plugged into. I should note that the display flickering you're seeing on camera only happens on camera. In person, you actually won't see this. This is just due to my recording frame rates and whatnot on my camera. Now, I'm not going to go too hard into specs on this guy because most people don't really care, so if you want to know more about the specs, I will leave a link in the description to the actual product page where the specs are also listed. Alright, now the D10S does a really good job at essentially being a DAC. It just gives you really crispy, clean audio, and something I've definitely noticed is that in the bass range, the bass response was much tighter. Bass was just punchier and stronger, but it wasn't like really overwhelming. So while the bass was strong, it wasn't overpowering anything or veiling any of the other spectrums of sound. Like, that also then allows the details in the mids and the highs to still be very prevalent, giving us a very detailed sound with a really good punchy bass response, and that's just really good for a DAC in general. But of course, this will also depend on what amp you're using and what headphones you're using, because that'll affect the sound, so it's gonna change a bit. But generally speaking, your sound I think will be much cleaner, and I think it will definitely affect the bass response in giving you a much better bass response in general. Soundstage doesn't get much bigger, but it does give you a lot more instrument separation. I've been listening to a lot of sea shanties lately because I've been playing a pirate game known as Sea of Thieves on Twitch, link in the description. And when I was listening to one of the songs, I did notice that with the DAC, the strings kind of tickled my ears a little bit more, and the bass response in the voices of the people singing was much more prevalent, and it just gave it a much fuller sound, which was very enjoyable. Alright, music aside, let's talk about its performance in gaming. Extra detail means extra clarity, which allows for more accurate tracking in games, as it gives you a better idea of what kind of surfaces people are running on as well as where. And the added sound separation then furthers the ability to track where people are, especially amid other sounds happening around you, from gunshots to explosions. The tight bass response helps the game sound still feel very engaging, and since it's well controlled without sounding too surgical, it actually helps add to the experience, while also helping you in the accuracy of your sound tracking. The D10S is honestly a really good DAC. It'll take anything you throw at it, and it'll make it sound better, whether it's music or gaming sound. My only issue with it is that it doesn't use USB-C, but other than that, it's a really good DAC. And currently, it is priced at $110, and I'll leave a link in the description in case you do want to buy it, and it is an affiliate link, so if you use that link to buy it, I will get a slight kickback to help, run this channel. Now, I should probably note that the D10S's price point of $110 puts it in very close competition to another one of Topping's offerings, which is the Topping E30, and that's going for $150. And I've actually reviewed this DAC already, and I'll leave a little link in the corner so you can know more about it in case you want to find out about that. Now, when it comes to these two DACs and price points, you may be wondering whether the Topping E30 is more worth it than the D10S, and honestly, it really depends. Sound-wise, the DACs are arguably very similar to each other, though I did find the D10S to just have a tighter bass response. Personally, I like that a lot. It just sounds punchier with this guy over here. And, with sound aside, there's just the feature differences at that point. What the E30 has over the D10S is a remote control for added convenience. It can be used as not just a DAC, but also a preamp. It has more digital inputs. On its screen, it shows more than just a sample rate and what format it's in. It also shows you whether it's playing from the USB cable, whether it's playing from your coaxial or your optical cable. And also, it just has a very nice look to it. The D10S has this more ruggedish kind of look, if you know what I mean. It's very sturdy looking with its bolts and whatnot. With the E30, it's a much cleaner, minimalistic appearance. And I know some people might not care about how their DAC looks, but for some people, this really does matter for how it looks on your setup. Well, that's basically all the differences between them, and if you've noticed, the extra added features on the E30 are probably going to be more valuable to a actual audiophile. If you're just a gamer and you're not an audiophile, the D10S will probably be just fine because you don't need those extra added conveniences. Whereas if you're an audiophile with a whole setup with speakers, headphones, and everything, then the added conveniences that the E30 has might just be more worth it to you. With all that being said, that's pretty much all I have today. So if you like the content, do leave a like, because that'll help me in this whole YouTube algorithm thing. Do remember to subscribe if you love the content and hit the notification bell so you know when I'm posting next. And that being said, I'll see you guys next time and have a nice day.